calls, codes, pleas for help. John Nielsen knows them well.
I'm a retired police detective.
But one cry didn't come from a stranger.
And she said, Dad, there's someone
His daughter, Monica Deming.
trying to operate the keypad on my front door.
Deming's ex-boyfriend broke through the sliding glass door.
And I said, well, call the police and I'll call them also, be right over. Well, by that time it was too late.
Police found Monica's body by her Christmas tree.
I knew what to do.
At that point,
what the procedure is.
John wasn't a retired cop.
On responding.
He was a dad.
The horror begins to sink in as this is your own family.
It was a murder-suicide. Her ex, Brandon Leyva, killed himself when police arrived.
And he realized that escape was impossible.
Monica called a counselor days before. She wanted a protective order, a court document showing it would be a crime for her ex to be near her. Orders, John learned, were given to other women in other counties.
Cases where he had been very abusive, threatened the life of other women.
Protective orders are public documents, but kept in courthouse files, not in the public eye. Nielsen wanted to change that.
There had to be a way to learn about the violent history of some of these individuals.
He wanted something online, a searchable database to see if someone had a protective order against them, but he would need lawmakers to help.
And I brought with me today a list of over 6,000 signatures.
Monica's law passed in 2019, creating this public website.
I think if I were a single woman and I were out there, I would absolutely want to know if they had been an aggressor and a batterer in the past.
Heather Bellino leads Texas Advocacy Project. She helps domestic violence survivors.
And it's a great idea in theory. I love the idea.
But she does not think every protective order needs to be publicly listed here.
Fortunately, it's fallible, right?
Bellino had a survivor speak to lawmakers before the law passed. They asked for limits on what the public could see, afraid of retaliation.
And that's when they decided to make it so that a survivor can opt in or opt out on the public-facing side of it.
Now the person requesting the protection must choose to let others know. In April, the Protective Order Registry showed 25,395 protective orders, all listed a person's abusive past. Of those listed, 18 are public.
Also give a sense of false security, right? Because you might assume that just because you looked up this person, if he didn't show up there, there's no way he's done anything wrong. But that's not always true, too.
We asked Bellino, why have a public registry if the public can't see it all? She said because of who can see it.
Now, law enforcement will always have access to the registry, and every one of those protective orders should be on it.
But it's not easy. Sure, cops can see all 25,000 orders, so can judges and attorneys. People who need to see them and struggled to find this information before the registry was created. But it's one extra step. Not everyone knows about it. And this is not part of what officers use when they run a license plate or check an ID.
And we're working with all the law enforcement entities across the state to get them trained on how to do it.
David Slayton is the administrative director for the Texas court system. It's his responsibility to have the registry work.
Hi, welcome to the overview of the Protective Order Registry.
The pandemic pushed back the launch of the website.
Click on Protective Order.
Social distancing limits trainings.
Are you guys ever going to link up the system on the law enforcement side to where it could be a one-stop shop?
The current system that DPS operates doesn't have, the documents and stuff like that in it. So we've been working with DPS on how the best way to do that is.
It's not what John envisioned.
When the stalking and the abuse was going on,
but it's something more than he had.
Monica was so frustrated. She didn't know where to turn. And she made the remark to me. She just said, Dad, she just says, I wish people knew what was happening to me. And that was in one of our last conversations.